Welcome, everybody. I am here with Captain Dan Gruta, somebody that we just honored recently at our military event at Sequan not too long ago. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come and talk with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
So, how did you have a good time at the event?
I had a great time. It absolutely exceeded our expectation for an event like that.
Any surprises?
Yes, surprises that I saw a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time, fellow service members. Uh, but the main surprise was how how upfront you are about honoring folks right there for their service and reflecting the values of our country in the United States in appreciating the service members. Because, as they say in the movie, we fight for our country, but that day we saw what we were fighting for.
There you go. It only gets better. You had almost a 30-year career in the Navy. Out of all those years and those experiences, what one thing can you say you remember your fondest about that career?
My fondest career was actually, I'd say, my time during Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Uh, I was able to use a lot of my upbringing, what I learned in my upbringing, and also my training at the Naval Academy during a national crisis. Our mission was on the USS Marvin Shield, was to enforce the UN blockade against Iraq and Kuwait. And on that, we were inside the Persian Gulf.
Mhm.
When we find a ship coming into the Gulf leaving, we ask them, merchant vessel on my port side or starboard side. This is United States Navy warship. Uh, channel 16, please. And sometimes they would answer, sometimes they won't. But sometimes the English language became a barrier. Luckily, in the Persian Gulf, there are about a 500,000 Filipinos in the Persian Gulf, and a lot of the merchant vessels that went in and out of the Persian Gulf were manned by Filipinos.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a ship coming in, and we were anchored, so we can't move, and it came closer and closer and closer, and we can't have ships come very close to us, especially during wartime, but in any condition, for safety. So I thought to my head, merchant vessel off my port side, channel 16, please. And the guy kept saying, hello, say again, please, say again. I said, merchant vessel, this is US Navy word at anchor, channel 16, please. And he goes, say again, I can't understand you. And I said, okay, this guy's Filipino. So I turned to what we called international Filipino call sign. So I went to the radio and said, psst, psst. Are you Filipino? Yes, I am. I need you to turn off my port side. I need you to avoid me by 5,000 yards. And since then, I have not seen a big ship turn as fast as that ship did. So using my culture to avoid a collision at sea during combat conditions, I would say that was probably one of my fondest moments in the Navy.
The human component.
It is. It is. That's what makes it all worthwhile.
And I wonder, as technical we're getting, and then with AI, I wonder if we'll ever hear stories like this again in the future. Probably not.
I wouldn't. We probably will. You will probably hear it on a different form.
Okay.
But you probably will. As long as there are humans involved, you will have human stories.
Okay. So we're talking about ships. There's something really exciting that's happening that I'd like for you to share in this interview today about the Trinidad.
Absolutely. So, as anything in my life, everything begins with a phone call. And in my life, either begins with a phone call from somebody I served with in Hawaii or Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it was an retired Air Force colonel. This is, Dan, how would you like to join us in getting a ship named after the only Filipino to receive the Medal of Honor from the U.S. Navy? I said, who? Because this guy's been forgotten, for a while. So This guy had other. He had actually been in other movements to like bring the bells of Balingiga back to the Philippines, or Congressional Gold Medal for Filipino World War II veterans. So that's how I got involved with that. So we wrote first the Navy Historical and Heritage Command, Admiral Cox. We said, "Hi, we have a candidate here for you." And he says, "Well, you got a very good candidate. However, for this candidate, yours has competition. So I suggest you write your letters to the Secretary of the Navy, but also write your members of Congress so they can also express interest on this." So long story short, Brett, we actually exercised democracy here in getting people to write not only the president, but members of their congressional delegation. Here in San Diego, there are, that we know of, 4 out of the 5 congressional delegates from San Diego actually wrote letters to the Secretary of the Navy. In the end, Brett, right before the ship was named, after Secretary Del Toro made his announcement on the 19th of May in 2022 that the future destroyer number 139 will be named the USS TELESFORO de la Cruz Trinidad. 98 members of Congress have actually written the Secretary of the Navy. They either signed a letter or co-signed letters urging him to do this. We also, and this is nationwide, we had Mayor of San Diego, Todd Gloria, Mayor Nirenberg of San Antonio, a couple of other mayors also wrote their letters for this. And we had about 15 or so national veterans and affiliate organizations nationwide that wrote letters saying, "Hey, please, consider this at the top of your list." So now we're expecting the TELESFORO Trinidad for her construction to begin next year.
Wow. How long will that construction take place?
So the original schedule they gave us in 2022 was that it was going to be 6 years. Okay. So, but now the construction has been delayed for 3 years because even though we are paying, Congress is allotting money for companies to build ships, unfortunately, we don't have the workforce and the capacity to build the ships at the schedule that Congress wants. So TELESFORO Trinidad was supposed to be, her start of fabrication was supposed to be December of this year. It's now moved to 2025. So basically, we're looking at November or December 2025. Her keel lane, where the sponsor actually writes, etches her initials on this thing, was supposed to be in 2025. Now it's going to be in 2026. But the one we're all familiar with is her christening, where the sponsor, in this case, 2 sponsors, and I'll talk to you who they are about later. The sponsors break the bottle on her bow. It says, "I christened the TELESFORO Trinidad."
Right.
That is now moved to 2028, which was supposed to be the original commissioning date.
Wow.
Now, the commissioning date has delayed for 3 years. She will be commissioned in 2031. Now, the first 3 events will happen in Huntington Ingalls. The commissioning will happen in a port yet to be determined. In the commissioning, that's where the sponsors will proclaim on the microphone, "Sailors, man this ship and bring her to life." And as they play anchors away and they're holding her medals right here, they will run on the ship and bring her to life.
Nice.
So that's what our schedule is right now, Brett.
So, like you said, this was a surprise to you, but very well deserved. And how many people do you think are still not aware that this is taking place?
The number changes, Brett, because we talked about it ad nauseum back in 2020 when we started this thing.
Okay.
And we had our rounds of organizations, but I think there's so much information out there, it's kind of fallen back on people's memories. So there's still a lot of people that have not heard about the USS TELESFORO Trinidad.
Well, this story is probably very inspirational, and the fact that this is happening for the very first time,
Mhm.
it's well overdue, and I'm glad that it is happening. And so, what are you doing these days? Let's hear about what you're doing because you're not retired. You're retired by name, but it sounds like you stay very active. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I do. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the USS TELESFORO Trinidad, and I'm also the board secretary for her board of directors. Let's talk about her board of directors first. So that's basically nine ladies and gentlemen uh, that have actually were either serving. About six of them were active duty admirals or reserve
Wow,
admirals,
wow,
generals.
wow.
Uh, we have a sitting Superior Court judge of California. So, as a secretary, I help them through their strategic decisions. I'm the guy that basically routes the decision papers. I'm the guy that sets the agendas for their meetings, of course, in coordination with the chairman. Our chairman is the Honorable Vic Mercado. Vic is a Filipino American,
Mhm.
born in Norfolk, Virginia. Uh, Rose to the rank of Rear Admiral in the United States Navy.
Wow.
Okay, and later on, he was an Assistant Secretary of Defense in the first Trump administration.
Okay.
So, on the other hand, I'm also the Chief Operating Officer of our executive leadership team. Our executive leadership team is headed by our CEO, Colonel Nodi Cabana, United States Air Force retired. So that's the big secret. It's an Air Force guy that got me going on this thing. Somebody I met in Hawaii.
You still have to whisper about the Air Force, do
I
you?
do, I do, I do. But I never pass anything Air Force. They always have great stuff.
I hear they got great food too. Who's got better food, the Navy or the Air Force?
I haven't really tried their food, but I've tried their golf courses.
Yeah.
They definitely have the better golf courses and better golf instructors.
Okay.
There's a joke in the United States. I came from the acquisition world where I buy stuff for the Navy and also award contracts. They said the joke is the Navy asked money for Congress. Uh,
Hmm.
they build the ships, they build the piers, run out of money, and then they tried to build the clubs. The Air Force, they ask for money, they build the clubs, the golf courses, runs out of money, and then they try to build the runway. So they're better at it than that. That's just a joke.
That's actually very, very funny. So you have your hands full. You're staying busy, and you have a beautiful family.
Thank you.
You're very blessed. What's next? Is there anything else that we can talk about?
So what we can talk about here is actually with TELESFORO is keeping the visibility of TELESFORO there till our time her time comes to be commissioned. Let's talk about the family and crew of TELESFORO Trinidad. Okay, so this quest for me is very personal. I grew up here in San Diego from a Navy family. I was the oldest of four, and we became five kids.
Mm.
We were living on $750 a month on my dad's salary as a Navy chief back in 1972 to 1977.
Wow.
In 1977, after he retired after 20 years, that became $350 a month for not four, but five kids. And this is why this quest going in making sure that the crew and the family are taken care of is very personal to me. So before I started this quest right here, I didn't know there was so much that was not covered by the Navy when it comes to the benefit of the crew and the families when they build the ship.
Right.
So we're gonna be working with the Navy League in this case right here. The Navy League has the program. All we want to do is raise the funds to one, provide those awards, provide that morale, welfare, and recreation funds when the crew's out there, help them when they're in trouble, but also award scholarships to the families out there. Because Brett, with the capabilities of USS TELESFORO Trinidad, she is a Flight 3 Arleigh Burke class destroyer.
Mhm.
She's a very advanced ship that can defend with her Spy 6 radar. She can defend a battle group and cities against ballistic missiles at the same time.
Amazing.
Okay. Because of our security environment, she'll be stationed probably in one of three places initially: San Diego, Everett, Washington, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. And what do those three places have in common? They are very expensive places to live.
Mhm.
And I see from your podcast that you had Rear Admiral Bob Kamensky
Uh-huh.
in talking about feeding San Diego and helping military families.
Right.
Because in a place like this, yeah, the salary's great, but cost will always outrun salary.
Mhm. And inflation.
And inflation. As a kid, my brothers and sister and I, hey, we kind of sat down, and especially around Christmas was the toughest time for us coming to the United States. We had no family. We can't afford the Christmassy stuff that's out there, whether it's going for entertainment
Mhm.
or going for a gift. And I don't want that to happen to any other kid. Our sailors, Marines, sailor and airmen, and Space Force Guardians deserve better, Brett.
I like this idea. Maybe we can collaborate on something to help get the gifts for the kids this year. I know a lot of people, man. I mean, maybe we can talk more about this.
Absolutely. While we're at it, also, my wife is a member of the Roaring Lions Club.
Oh yeah, I've actually worked with them before, and when we had the big fires not too long ago, remember that, Sarah? The Lions Club of National City
Mhm.
brought a lot of toys, and plus we went on TV and got toys donated, and we went somewhere, met, and we had some of the kids come and pick out the toys.
Absolutely. And so with that, so this Sunday at the Hub from 10 to 2 at Miramar, the Roaring Lions Club, will be serving lunch. I'm the grill master for this event, to the Marines and sailors at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar.
That's great.
And a lot of times these gents and ladies hear the words, "Thank you for your service."
Mhm.
But Brett, I hear a lot of words, but I defer to action in giving thanks to people and say what you're doing for us is important. So please sit down to a meal with us. I thank you for your service, and also persuade other members of our community to serve, because the military has a very limited contact with the rest of the United States. It used to be there are bases all over the United States.
Mhm.
Now that most of them are in the South or in California. So definitely something for the kids right there will be great. Uh, we are involved also with another organization called the Filipino American with Developmental Disabilities.
Okay.
So in the first week of December, they have their Christmas party down in National City, and they will also have gifts for children with special needs. And a lot of these are the children of veterans, Brett.
Wow.
And I feel for the children of veterans, because their main concern is, well, one, is my child going to have the same opportunities as others to enjoy Christmas?
Mhm.
But also in these get together, we also help them navigate through the various bureaucracies and services that's out there for them. Okay, I'm going through that myself. I've got a daughter with special needs. So right now, as you asked me, what am I doing in my retirement? So I'm doing three things in my retirement. One, I do what the boss tells me to do, especially where to travel. Second one is to help out in nonprofit organizations like TELESFORO Trinidad.
Mhm.
And the other one is going to be FOD
Those are good.
and the Lions Club. But last but not least is to help our oldest daughter and set her on the path, with the bureaucracies and all the services, when my wife and I can no longer help her or no longer around to help her.
Mhm.
In our culture, in the Filipino culture, the thing we look for is how or which relative will take care of our child or your daughter when we're gone. We have to be practical in the United States.
Mhm.
In the United States, we have to set up the services, and some have costs, some have no cost. We're figuring that out right now. So that's the journey we started here. Today's the 21st, so that's the journey I started 21 days ago.
Well, I appreciate all that you're doing, and there is a lot of need, and I believe in giving a person a hand up. I don't believe in handouts. I believe in a hand up, and I think we need more of that right now. And I think you're one of the guys leading that charge, so we appreciate what you're doing,
It is. So
and thank you for what you're doing.
thank you. So you say you come from an Irish family there, Brett?
Well, a little Irish, and a
Or
little
little
German,
German.
and a little, and then Mexican on my mom's side.
So we were fortunate enough to have gone to school at a very kind of pricey for a Chiefs family back in the 70s to a to a school where Irish nuns were the teachers.
Mhm.
And the Irish nuns told the teachers, we're only the supplement to your children's education. You are the main educators of your parents.
Mhm.
So as I've said in a Lions Club event, volunteer organizations serve a very important role
Mhm.
because if I just stay with my family and look at my brothers and sisters, so it's a little blue in the face, and not ask advice from anybody or anybody giving advice, we will be the same place where we were, and what we learn in the books will not make any sense. That hand up, as you're saying, is actually the inspiration that breaks people out of poverty and into an ignorance and appreciate and come to their realization of what I call the American dream. And that's why I'm very passionate about this stuff because my parents were survivors of World War II. They knew what life was like with U.S. American education in the Philippines and what it was without it. And in short, my parents raised me saying the United States are the good guys from their experience in World War II. So I'll leave it at that.
We had a great interview and a very interesting interview with Dan Gruta, Captain Dan Gruta. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to see you. And all the information is there at the very bottom of the screen. Let's get involved. Let's help out any way we can. And we want to help you any way we can as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.